65 years ago, the world came to an end when a devastating nuclear war reduced civilization to ashes. Cities disappeared, power grids collapsed overnight, and the modern world that humanity had built was wiped away in an instant. Families were torn apart, countless lives were lost, and the few survivors were left wandering through a ruined planet filled with radiation, hunger, and hopelessness. It seemed as though mankind had reached its final chapter. Yet, as people often say, even in the darkest night, a single ray of hope can change everything. That hope appeared deep within the Amazon rainforest, where a brilliant botanist named Liam Schmidt made a discovery that would forever alter human history. Hidden beneath the dense jungle was an extraordinary organism unlike anything ever seen before, a glowing plant known as the Genesis tree. This was no ordinary tree. Instead of being destroyed by radiation, it absorbed the deadly nuclear energy surrounding it and transformed that poison into a pure, life-giving source of energy. The Genesis tree soon became humanity's greatest miracle. Its beautiful blue flowers possessed incredible restorative abilities, helping cleanse the world of radioactive contamination and allowing nature to recover. Rivers became cleaner, forests slowly returned, and civilization finally had a chance to rebuild. However, while the flowers saved the planet, they also changed the future of the human race in ways nobody could have predicted. Although the environment gradually healed, the damage caused by the nuclear war remained deeply embedded within human DNA. Nearly 90% of children born after the catastrophe suffered from severe genetic defects. Some were born blind, others with failing hearts, while many could neither walk nor properly develop. Faced with the possible extinction of humanity, scientists desperately searched for a solution. Eventually, they extracted the DNA from the Genesis flowers, combined it with human genetic material, and created a revolutionary serum that was injected into expecting mothers. The experiment succeeded beyond anyone's imagination. Children born after receiving the modified DNA were physically and mentally superior to ordinary humans. They could hear sounds from incredible distances, see with remarkable clarity, react far faster than normal people, and perform almost every task with abilities nearly 10 times greater than the average person. These enhanced humans became known as genetics, and before long, society began treating them like royalty. As the years passed, genetics became the overwhelming majority of the population. However, not every pregnancy accepted the Genesis DNA successfully. Around 10% rejected the enhancement completely, causing those children to be born as ordinary humans. Among them, many suffered from permanent disabilities such as blindness, heart disease, paralysis, or other serious disorders. These unfortunate people became known as specials. Instead of receiving sympathy, specials were pushed to the bottom of society. They were mocked, bullied, and treated as if they were worthless. Good jobs were reserved exclusively for genetics, leaving specials with only the hardest and most dangerous forms of labor. In this supposedly advanced civilization, their lives were considered disposable. The story then shifts to the heavily protected Genesis Institute, the facility where the priceless Genesis trees are cultivated under constant surveillance. This place is one of the most secure locations in the world because the trees are regarded as humanity's greatest resource. Working inside the institute is a quiet cleaner named Leon, a special who relies on a wheelchair because he cannot walk. At first glance, he appears to be just another maintenance worker carrying out his daily duties. On the same day, a 12-year-old girl named Chloe arrives at the institute as part of a school field trip. To everyone around them, the two seem completely unrelated. However, appearances are deceiving, because Leon and Chloe are secretly partners working together on a dangerous mission. Their true objective is not cleaning or sightseeing, it is theft. While Chloe cleverly distracts the tour guide by asking questions and keeping everyone's attention focused elsewhere, Leon quietly reaches a heavily secured door and begins hacking its electronic lock. After bypassing the security system, the door silently unlocks. Before stepping inside, Leon carefully checks the hallway for guards. Rather than confronting them directly, he activates a small remote-controlled toy mouse and sends it scurrying across the floor. The guards notice the strange toy and pick it up out of curiosity. The moment they do, the mouse releases a powerful sleeping gas, instantly knocking them unconscious. Leon quickly puts on a protective mask and slips inside the restricted laboratory. His preparation doesn't stop there. Earlier, he had secretly released the same sleeping gas through the laboratory's ventilation system, causing every scientist inside to lose consciousness. With the room completely silent, Leon slowly approaches the magnificent Genesis tree. Standing before the glowing blue flowers, Leon pauses for a brief moment and looks down at the old wristwatch that once belonged to his mother. The watch reminds him why he is risking his life, giving him the courage to continue. Carefully, he cuts through the protective glass surrounding the tree and gently plucks one of the precious blue Genesis flowers. However, the instant the flower is removed, the Institute's security system activates. The Genesis tree, which has mutated after decades of exposure to nuclear radiation, violently reacts to the theft. Sharp thorn-like vines suddenly burst from its branches and shoot toward Leon, attempting to kill him. He barely manages to dodge the deadly attacks before escaping the chamber. Within seconds, emergency alarms echo throughout the entire facility as a full lockdown begins. Security personnel rush into action while every exit is sealed. Remaining calm under pressure, Leon blends into the crowd of evacuating employees and visitors, making himself appear like another frightened worker trying to leave the building. During the confusion, he quietly meets Chloe, and without attracting any attention, she hides the stolen Genesis flower inside her teddy bear. Moments later, security guards begin searching everyone leaving the institute. One guard even inspects Chloe's teddy bear, but because the flower is perfectly concealed inside it, nothing suspicious is found. Satisfied that everything is normal, the guards allow them to leave, completely unaware that the priceless Genesis flower has just been stolen from the most secure facility in the world. After escaping successfully, Leon and Chloe return to their home city. As they travel through the streets, giant public screens are broadcasting a political speech that has captured the attention of the entire nation. Senator Frank stands before a large audience announcing a new proposal known as Proposition 42. According to him, the law will finally end discrimination between genetics and specials by granting both groups equal treatment. He also claims that scientists are developing a revolutionary serum capable of curing specials and giving them the same genetic enhancements enjoyed by genetics. At the same time, another famous public figure appears on television. A globally beloved pop star named Mira announces that she will be performing a concert in one of the poorest districts of the city. She insists that the event is meant to promote unity between genetics and specials, encouraging both communities to live together without prejudice. Leon, however, isn't convinced by any of these promises. Having spent his entire life facing discrimination, he believes that wealthy genetics and powerful politicians only make beautiful speeches to improve their own image while never intending to help people like him. In his eyes, everything they say is nothing more than another carefully crafted lie. Eventually, Leon and Chloe arrive at the place they call home, a hidden basement workshop overflowing with strange plants, experimental machinery, and homemade inventions. Despite being only 12 years old, Chloe possesses remarkable botanical talent. She spends her time cultivating unusual plants, including fruits that contain powerful acid and mysterious vines with extraordinary properties. Meanwhile, Leon uses his engineering skills to design advanced prosthetic limbs and assistive devices for disabled specials who cannot afford proper medical technology. The stolen Genesis extract serves as the energy source for many of his inventions, allowing him to build equipment capable of changing the lives of people abandoned by society. Rather than using the flower for personal wealth, Leon secretly dedicates his work to helping fellow specials survive in a world that refuses to care about them. Later that night, Leon receives a desperate phone call from a frightened man living inside the wealthy genetic district. The caller explains that he is secretly a special who depends entirely on a mechanical exosuit to walk. Unfortunately, the suit has malfunctioned, and unless it is repaired before the next morning, he will be unable to work. Even worse, if his employers discover that he is actually a special pretending to be a genetic, he will immediately lose his job. At first, Chloe strongly opposes taking the assignment because entering the genetic district is incredibly dangerous for people like them. However, the desperate customer offers to pay 3 times Leon's normal repair fee. The generous payment is too important to ignore, so Leon finally accepts the job despite the obvious risks. Even then, Chloe remains worried. She reminds Leon that specials are barely tolerated inside the elite district and fears they may never even make it past security. Leon, however, has already prepared for that problem. Instead of approaching through the heavily guarded entrances, he leads Chloe into an abandoned underground tunnel that secretly connects to the wealthy district. Using the forgotten passage, the two successfully reach an expensive luxury hotel without being detected. The chef who hired Leon quietly meets them and sneaks them inside through the back entrance, making sure none of the other employees notice their arrival. Without wasting any time, Leon immediately begins repairing the chef's damaged mechanical suit while Chloe assists him. Everything appears to be going according to plan, but before the repairs can be completed, the entire building suddenly plunges into darkness as the lights go out. Moments later, chaos erupts throughout the hotel. A violent extremist group known as the Anti-Genetic Squad launches a brutal attack on the building. Unlike most specials, these ordinary humans have allowed their hatred of genetics to consume them completely. They believe genetics are responsible for all inequality and have no hesitation in murdering anyone who stands in their way. The attackers storm through the hotel, slaughtering innocent people as they advance. When they reach the kitchen, they mercilessly kill the chef before smashing everything around them and leaving the room in ruins. Realizing that they stand no chance against such ruthless killers, Leon and Chloe quietly hide while searching for a way to escape. Unfortunately, their only exit, the back door, is now locked, trapping them inside the building. With danger closing in from every direction, Leon realizes he has no choice but to make a difficult decision. He removes the dead chef's mechanical exosuit and puts it on himself, hoping it will give him a chance to survive whatever comes next. Meanwhile, the gang members continue moving through the hotel until they enter the kitchen. As they search the room, they begin discussing a mysterious operation they intend to carry out the following day, hinting that tonight's massacre is only the beginning of a much larger and far more dangerous plan. While hiding inside the hotel kitchen, Leon and Chloe overhear the gang discussing the next phase of their operation. They reveal that they are planning to plant a bomb and assassinate a highly important public figure, although they never mention the target by name. As the gang members leave the room, one of them accidentally drops a folded piece of paper onto the floor. Waiting until the attackers disappear, Chloe quietly picks it up and hides it before following Leon. Just as they prepare to slip away unnoticed, Leon's mechanical suit suddenly malfunctions. The damaged system loses balance, causing him to crash heavily onto a metal counter. The loud impact echoes through the kitchen, immediately alerting the nearby gang members. Within seconds they rush back inside and launch a violent attack. Knowing they cannot defeat so many enemies in a direct fight, Leon desperately knocks over shelves, boxes, and heavy kitchen equipment to slow their pursuers. The obstacles briefly block the gangster's path, buying him a few precious seconds. Even though the suit is failing, Leon pushes it beyond its limits and uses its enhanced strength to force open the locked back door. The metal door bends under the immense pressure, creating an escape route, and he and Chloe flee the hotel before the gang can catch them. After a tense journey, the two finally return safely to their hidden basement workshop. Believing they have escaped without leaving any evidence behind, they allow themselves to relax for the first time since the attack. Unfortunately, that feeling of relief doesn't last long. Unknown to them, the hotel security cameras captured clear footage of both Leon and Chloe inside the building. Because every member of the attacking gang had hidden their faces behind masks, the police are unable to identify the real terrorist. Instead, the investigation points directly toward Leon and Chloe, making them the prime suspects. Overnight, the innocent pair become wanted criminals, accused of leading the deadly attack despite having done nothing wrong. As television channels repeatedly broadcast updates about the case, Leon and Chloe watch an interview with the commander of the police special force, who confidently promises that the criminals will soon be captured. The moment Leon sees the officer's face, he freezes in disbelief. He immediately recognizes the man as the mysterious leader who had commanded the terrorists during the hotel attack. The shocking realization leaves no room for doubt. The very person responsible for protecting the public is secretly controlling the terrorist organization behind the attacks. While Leon struggles to process this discovery, Chloe unfolds the paper she picked up inside the hotel. It turns out to be a promotional flyer advertising the upcoming concert of the famous singer Mira. The meaning of the flyer quickly becomes clear. The terrorists are planning to strike during Mira's concert, creating a massive tragedy that can easily be blamed on Special. If the public believes Specials carried out the attack, hatred against them will grow stronger than ever, and Senator Frank's proposed equality law, Proposition 42, will almost certainly be rejected. By keeping the two groups divided, the conspirators can ensure that Specials remain oppressed forever. Realizing how many lives are at stake, Chloe immediately decides they cannot stand by and watch. She believes stopping the attack will not only clear their names but could also change the future of every Special in the country. Leon, however, has lost hope. Looking at himself, a disabled man confined to a wheelchair, and then at Chloe, who is still only a young girl, he cannot imagine how the two of them could possibly fight an armed terrorist organization supported by powerful people. Instead of risking certain death, he decides the smartest choice is to run away and disappear before the police capture them. His words deeply disappoint Chloe. Furious that Leon is giving up when innocent people need help, she argues with him before storming out of the workshop, leaving him alone with his thoughts. As Leon begins packing his belongings for their escape, his eyes fall upon the old wristwatch that once belonged to his mother. He gently picks it up and notices the words engraved on its surface, "All people are equal." The simple message brings back painful memories of his childhood. He remembers how his mother desperately needed medical treatment but was denied proper care simply because she was a Special. She eventually died, not because her illness was impossible to treat, but because society considered her life less valuable than that of a genetic. Those memories completely change Leon's perspective. He realizes that running away will only allow more innocent people to suffer the same injustice his mother faced. Determined to honor her memory, he abandons his escape plan and decides to fight back instead. Sometime later, Chloe returns to the workshop expecting to find Leon gone forever. Instead, she discovers him hard at work, completely rebuilding the damaged mechanical suit. Seeing that he has chosen to stay fills her with relief and happiness, and without hesitation, she joins him. The two combine their unique talents to transform the ordinary repair suit into a powerful combat exosuit. Leon upgrades the frame by installing new weapons and reinforcing its mechanical systems, while Chloe contributes her extraordinary botanical knowledge. She integrates specially engineered biowires throughout the suit, allowing living plants to grow directly from its structure. These vines are far from ordinary. As they extend outward, they produce acidic fruits capable of releasing powerful knockout gas while also spraying highly corrosive acid that can burn through equipment and disable enemies. By the time they finish their work, the suit has become a perfect fusion of advanced engineering and living biotechnology. The following day, both Leon and Chloe head toward Mira's concert, fully prepared for the dangerous mission ahead. As expected, the anti-genetic squad also arrives at the venue, blending into the massive crowd while preparing to kidnap the famous singer. Without warning, chaos erupts across the concert grounds. Panicked civilians begin running in every direction as the terrorists force their way toward the stage. During the confusion, neither Leon nor Chloe can be seen anywhere among the frightened audience. Just as the gang successfully captures Mira and begins dragging her away, Leon suddenly bursts into the scene wearing his newly upgraded mechanical suit. At first, he struggles to maintain his balance because of the suit's modifications, but after a few unsteady moments, he firmly plants his feet and stands proudly before the terrorist. The gang members burst into laughter when they notice strange vines covering the outside of the armor, believing Leon has foolishly decorated his suit with harmless plants. Their amusement quickly disappears when Leon activates its true capabilities. The living vines instantly spring to life, whipping through the air and attacking the terrorists from every direction. At the same time, the acidic fruits attached to the vines burst open, releasing clouds of knockout gas that blind and disorient the attackers. Several gang members collapse before they even understand what has happened. Despite Leon's impressive performance, the terrorists greatly outnumber him. Reinforcements quickly arrive, surrounding him from every side before he can rescue Mira. Unable to fight so many opponents alone, Leon is eventually overwhelmed. The gang members knock him to the ground and relentlessly beat him until his mechanical suit is completely destroyed. With his armor shattered around him, Leon lies helpless and defenseless. Just when defeat seems inevitable, Chloe races into the battlefield driving a stolen car. Without slowing down, she crashes directly into the gangsters, scattering them across the street. She quickly pulls Leon and Mira into the vehicle before speeding away, escaping the concert moments before the terrorists can regroup. The three of them safely return to Leon's underground workshop, where they immediately lock every hidden entrance leading into the base. Only after ensuring they cannot be followed do they finally explain everything to Mira. Leon reveals the horrifying truth that the very police officers assigned to protect her are secretly the same people organizing the terrorist attacks. Although shocked by the revelation, Mira listens carefully as Leon lays out the pattern he has discovered. She mentions that she is scheduled to meet Senator Frank at the medical center the following day. Hearing this confirms Leon's suspicions. He explains that the terrorists attacked the hotel on the first day, targeted Mira's concert on the second, and will almost certainly strike the medical center on the third day. Their true objective has never been Mira herself. Instead, they intend to assassinate Senator Frank before Proposition 42 can become law. Leon insists that protecting the senator is now their highest priority because if he dies, any hope of equality for specials will disappear with him. Understanding what is at stake, Mira agrees to join their mission. The next morning, the three travel to the medical center, with Leon and Mira disguising themselves as an ordinary couple to avoid attracting suspicion. Once inside the building, Leon asks Mira to begin singing, creating a distraction that draws the attention of hospital staff and visitors. While everyone focuses on the unexpected performance, the disguised terrorists quietly infiltrate the medical center and prepare to carry out their assassination. Leon immediately launches his counterattack. Charging into the middle of the terrorists, he sprays powerful acid directly onto their protective masks. The corrosive liquid rapidly melts the masks away, exposing several of the attackers as he defeats them one after another. However, when the police chief himself joins the battle, the situation changes dramatically. Unlike the ordinary gang members, he possesses overwhelming strength and combat skills that Leon simply cannot match. After a brutal fight, the chief defeats Leon once again, smashing his mechanical suit into pieces and leaving him lying helpless on the ground. Certain that he is about to die, Leon prepares for the worst. At that critical moment, Senator Frank's security guards suddenly storm into the medical center. Opening fire on the terrorists, they eliminate many gang members while forcing the remaining attackers to retreat. Taking advantage of the confusion, The police chief escapes before anyone can expose him, successfully keeping his identity as the terrorist leader a secret. Although Leon has risked everything to save the senator's life, several of the senator's own guards begin insulting him because he is a special. Before the situation can escalate, Senator Frank personally steps forward. The moment Leon sees the senator up close, he is left completely speechless. A stunning truth is finally revealed: the senator is actually Leon's father. Standing nearby, Chloe hears the revelation and is equally shocked. Believing Leon has secretly been connected to the wealthy genetic elite all along, she feels completely betrayed. Heartbroken and unable to process the truth, she runs away in tears before Leon can explain anything. Soon afterward, news of the assassination attempt spreads across the country. Television stations interrupt their regular programming as reporters gather around Senator Frank for an emergency interview. During the live broadcast, the senator proudly declares before the entire nation, "A hero, my own son, saved my life and he is a special." He continues by telling the public that Leon's bravery proves specials are not inferior to genetics in any way. They deserve the same respect, the same opportunities, and the same rights as everyone else. The senator's powerful speech completely changes public opinion. Inspired by Leon's actions and moved by the truth, lawmakers finally approve Proposition 42 with a majority vote, marking the beginning of a new era in which specials finally receive the equality they have been denied for so long. Following the dramatic events at the medical center, the government publicly announces that a new era has begun. Officials promise that specials will finally receive the same rights and opportunities as genetics, while emergency medical camps are established across the country to provide free treatment for every special who has spent years suffering under discrimination. Although the nation celebrates this historic moment, Leon's thoughts remain fixed on Chloe. He searches everywhere, hoping to find her and explain the truth about his relationship with Senator Frank, but no matter where he looks, she is nowhere to be found. Feeling heartbroken and believing she no longer wants to see him, Leon eventually gives up his search and quietly returns to one of the newly established medical camps. As he walks through the camp, Leon watches countless specials receiving medical attention that had been denied to them for most of their lives. For the first time, many of them seem hopeful about the future. While observing the patients, Leon is approached by Senator Frank, who asks to speak with him privately. The senator sincerely apologizes for everything that has happened in the past. With visible regret, he admits that Leon's mother lost her life because of his own mistakes and the choices he made years ago. He confesses that he has carried the burden of that guilt ever since and tells Leon that he wants to make things right before it is too late. The senator then hands Leon an old envelope that has been carefully preserved for many years. He explains that before Leon's mother died, she wrote a letter specifically for her son. However, Leon had run away before the senator ever found the courage to deliver it. Wanting to be alone, Leon quietly opens the letter and begins reading his mother's final words. Rather than filling the letter with anger or resentment, she asks Leon to forgive his father despite everything that happened. She reminds him that hatred only creates more suffering and encourages him to keep a kind and compassionate heart. Her final message is simple yet powerful. No matter how different people may appear, every human being is equal in the end. As Leon finishes reading the emotional letter, Chloe and Mira finally arrive to meet him. Their reunion is brief because Chloe immediately shares disturbing news. She reveals that despite everything that happened, the police chief has not been arrested. Even more suspiciously, he is still working alongside Senator Frank as though nothing ever happened. The revelation immediately raises Leon's suspicions. Something about the entire situation feels wrong, and he begins to suspect that the truth behind the recent events is far more complicated than anyone realizes. Determined to uncover what is really happening, Chloe secretly uses one of her high-tech surveillance cameras to spy inside the laboratory connected to the medical camp. Through the live video feed, she witnesses something completely unexpected. Standing inside the laboratory are Senator Frank and the police chief, calmly talking to one another. There is no sign of hostility between them. Instead of being enemies, the two men appear to be trusted partners working together. The horrifying discovery changes everything they believed. They finally realize that every major event they witnessed, the terrorist attacks, the heroic rescue, the public speeches, and even the senator's apparent transformation, was nothing more than an elaborate performance carefully staged to deceive the entire world. Even Proposition 42, the law that was supposedly designed to protect specials, is exposed as a massive lie. The legislation was never intended to create equality. Its true purpose was to make genetics even stronger than before. The conspirators reveal that the enhancement process requires a rare chemical found naturally inside the brains of specials. Every attack, every speech, and every act of public sympathy had been carefully orchestrated to convince thousands of specials to willingly enter the government's medical camps. Once inside those camps, the victims are not being treated at all. Instead, surgeons secretly extract the valuable chemical from their brains to create an advanced serum capable of further upgrading genetics. The procedure is horrifying because the extraction process cannot be survived. Every special who undergoes the operation dies during the process. Despite knowing the truth, Senator Frank and the people working with him show absolutely no compassion. Their ultimate goal is to erase specials from existence altogether, leaving behind a world inhabited only by genetically enhanced humans. As Chloe continues monitoring the laboratory, she uncovers one final secret that makes the betrayal even more personal. Out of every special brought into the camps, only one person is actually meant to receive a genuine cure instead of being sacrificed. That single survivor is Leon. Because he is Senator Frank's biological son, the senator intends to save only him while allowing every other special to die. At the same time, Leon carefully observes the medical camp from outside. One patient after another disappears into the operating rooms, yet none of them ever return. Before long, the truth spreads among the specials as more and more mysterious deaths occur. Panic quickly turns into anger as they realize they have been deceived once again. Refusing to become helpless victims, the specials begin preparing to fight back. Following a carefully planned strategy, Leon allows himself to be taken into one of the operating rooms as though he is ready to undergo surgery. Hidden beneath the blanket covering his body is the mechanical prosthetic suit that he secretly repaired earlier. When Senator Frank and several nurses approach his hospital bed, believing Leon has accepted his fate, he suddenly reveals his true plan. Bursting from beneath the blanket, Leon grabs his father by the throat and furiously calls him a monster for sacrificing innocent lives in the name of genetic perfection. Without giving the senator an opportunity to escape, Leon locks him inside a nearby room. He then snatches an injection from one of the terrified nurses after realizing it contains the experimental cure created from the brain of an innocent special who was murdered for the procedure. Determined to stop the massacre, Leon races toward the facility's security room. After defeating the guards protecting it, he activates the control system and throws open every locked gate throughout the camp. Emergency alarms immediately begin ringing as the doors slide open, allowing every imprisoned special to escape. The loud alarms quickly bring the police chief to the scene. Arriving with an entire force of armed soldiers, he attempts to regain control of the facility before the situation spirals out of control. However, he arrives too late. The freed specials have already begun fighting back. Lacking weapons, they grab anything they can find, including stones, metal pipes, hospital beds, and broken furniture, using them to attack both the gangsters and the genetically enhanced soldiers protecting the camp. Although genetics possess far greater physical abilities, the overwhelming number of determined specials slowly shifts the balance of the battle. What begins as a desperate rebellion soon grows into a full-scale war throughout the entire facility. While Leon leads the uprising inside the camp, Chloe and Mira undertake an equally dangerous mission elsewhere. They possess digital evidence proving that Senator Frank and the police chief have been working together from the very beginning. Their goal is to upload the evidence directly to the authorities and expose the conspiracy before anyone can destroy it. Unfortunately, the enormous amount of data requires 5 full minutes to transfer, forcing them to remain in one place while the upload progresses. Those 5 minutes become a fight for survival. One of the conspirators discovers their location and attacks without warning. He grabs Mira by the throat and begins choking her, leaving her only moments away from death. Just as all hope seems lost, a courageous special suddenly attacks the man from behind, saving Mira's life and giving Chloe enough time to complete the upload. At last, the evidence reaches the proper authorities. Within moments, the truth spreads across the country, exposing Senator Frank's crimes and revealing the conspiracy to the entire world. Chloe and Mira have successfully completed their mission. Meanwhile, inside the medical camp, Leon faces his greatest challenge as he confronts the police chief in a final battle. The police chief's advanced genetic enhancements make him incredibly fast, unbelievably strong, and far more skilled than Leon. Even with all of his determination, Leon cannot withstand the chief's overwhelming power for long. During the brutal fight, the chief completely destroys Leon's mechanical suit before dragging him into the laboratory housing one of the precious Genesis trees. With a powerful throw, Leon crashes into the control panel positioned directly in front of the glowing tree. As Leon struggles to stand, he remembers exactly how the Genesis tree reacts whenever one of its flowers is removed. Thinking quickly, he reaches toward the tree and plucks a single glowing blue flower from one of its branches. The effect is immediate. The Genesis tree activates its deadly defense mechanism, sending countless razor-sharp thorns exploding outward in every direction. Knowing what is about to happen, Leon instantly throws himself flat onto the floor. The police chief reacts a fraction of a second too late. The enormous thorns pierce straight through his body, impaling him instantly and bringing an end to his reign of terror. Not long afterward, honest police officers finally arrive at the facility after receiving Chloe's evidence. They arrest the remaining gang members, take Senator Frank into custody, and secure the entire medical complex. With the conspiracy fully exposed, the corrupt leaders are finally defeated and justice is served. Once the public learns the horrifying truth behind Senator Frank's plan, Proposition 42 is immediately cancelled. The fraudulent law that nearly destroyed the specials is erased before it can cause any further harm. The new government begins implementing genuine reforms instead. The walls and borders separating the cities of genetics and specials are finally removed, allowing both groups to travel freely between their communities for the first time in generations. As prejudice slowly disappears, genetics and specials begin living together as equals instead of enemies, creating the peaceful society that Leon's mother had always dreamed of. With the long struggle finally over, Leon, Chloe, and Mira find themselves happier than they have ever been. Although they paid a terrible price for that victory, they know their sacrifices changed the future forever. Mira, however, suffered severe injuries during the final battle. The damage to her body is permanent, and she can no longer sing the songs that once inspired millions of people. Even so, she chooses not to dwell on what she has lost. Surrounded by Leon and Chloe, she finds happiness in the family they have built together, proving that a peaceful life shared with the people she loves is worth far more than fame or applause.